a lounge singer. Maybe I'm doing stand-up. I don't think I'm very funny, but it works out. I'm kind of playing with the studio setup, such as it is. It's Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, and this is In the Pursuit of Joy. Still working on it. So I remember going on a car ride with my mother. I think I was about 8, and she was driving through town, running errands like she usually did, and she would take me along, of course. And I was in the back seat of her car, hanging out the back window, just staring at the world as we zoomed past buildings and people, and no seatbelt. Those were the days, good times. And so I noticed there were these street vendors. You get them anywhere you live. There's going to be someone selling something. This one was a toy peddler. They had those, I don't know if you've seen those dolls that are almost life-size. They're really the size of a 5-year-old, I guess, maybe 3 feet tall dolls. They came in all shapes and colors, blondes and brunettes, and they had pretty dresses, and they caught my eye. I mean, I was old. I wouldn't say too old for those, but just the same, just being a kid and just observing as my mom drove through town, they caught my eye. I locked into this one in particular. I had a blue dress on with white lace, white shoes, and matching white hose, and just the prettiest thing I thought I'd seen in a long time. And mind you, this is happening in a matter of seconds. And next to it, there were all the dolls lined up along the sidewalk, and next to it were a pair of feet, and my eyes glanced up, and this pair of pant legs, and they belonged to a young boy. The boy was standing right next to the dolls. The whole line of dolls looks like soldiers lined up in formation, well, at least a single file. And the boy and I locked in eyes. And in the split second that we passed each other in time, his eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. His eyebrows just curled inward. He made a face as though someone had just stuck his hand through his heart. Just something out of Indiana Jones, stuck the hand on the chest and dragged his heart out and just watched that beating in the hand. I know you get that imagery, and that's kind of a surprise and anguish. And as young as I was, I recognized this. It was a dirty little secret. This boy was probably a couple of years older than me, and he happened to be one of a collection of bullies that I would have to face from time to time in school. So obviously we were not friends, and just seeing him and him seeing me and recognizing each other just sent a wave of energy that was gripping both of us. But for me, it was a sense of, I was more like empty. I had no relatively big feelings about it, but I knew I felt that I knew a secret, big secret. And it's going into the mind of a bully. This boy mercilessly coming after me, not the only one, like I said. Got a whole long list of stories about bullies. And even when my brothers was a bully, a few years later, and once he hit puberty, it was the terror in the house. He wouldn't leave me alone. That's another story for another time, but we get along famously now, of course. But this boy was just one of few bullies in the school, and he was definitely someone who had been fixated on me as well. And I was skinny and kind of pale. I know some friend of mine laughed because he said I'm very tanned, and they said, "Well, you can't be pale." Yeah, you can't be pale when you're anemic. I suffered from anemia from an early age, and I had some issues. So, I mean, I was relatively healthy, but I had, low albumin and stuff like that, and just weird stuff. I outgrew all that eventually. But I was a skinny little kid, even though I don't look like today. And I was just prime meat, just waiting to be picked on. But this boy, the look in his face and his eyes is just the anguish, and I totally understand it as an adult today. But that image is kind of haunting in a way. I almost felt bad for him because I knew what it meant. And I wasn't raised to, let's just say, mock people that in certain situations. You teach children not to stare or point, that sort of thing. We are all different for a reason. And this boy was just evil. And to me, he had no redeeming qualities. He would be fair game if I went back to school and told everyone that he and his mother or father were selling dolls by the side of the road downtown. This is how they make their living. That's hardly a worthy endeavor. And I never did. I never said anything. But the deterrent factor was very strong in that he never bothered me again. He knew I knew his secret, and that secret is the self-hatred. You can be born poor and still have great dignity and still love yourself and still respect yourself. And I can understand how, to an extent, someone who thinks that they're born into bad circumstances. Of course, the child is not creating the circumstances of poverty, and so I don't know how poor his parents were. Maybe there was just a side gig. How would I know? I have no way of knowing that. And at that age, I have limited ability to even question. Just like I've had side gigs. I wouldn't think anybody would mind if I try to make a little money on the side. People do it all the time. And just selling dolls, selling toys by the side of the road, is not great. Probably not a great moneymaker. It may have been the one factor that might have tied their finances in the family. And of course, as children sometimes are involved. The parent needs that child to be there. I mean, the kid did go to school. I don't know what his grades were, but I know what he was doing in school. Just acting up just horribly and not being a really good kid. But there's a root to that. And normally, I would say that there's 100%. There's a cause and effect factor in here at play. And I never saw him again. I met another one. I was bullied for a little while in another grade, and he grew up to be a father and a husband and a father. And I encountered him, and I kind of told him, "Yeah, I remember you too." I'm surprised he remembered me, in my 20s. And I've been freshly out of the service the first time I got out, and I was recently married, and he recognized me. I wouldn't have thought about it twice that that guy looked like any other guy, but. I happened to mention, just call me, but very matter-of-factly, that you used to do really terrible things, and he proceeded to apologize, and I took it. I took the apology. It was very feeling, and he felt wounded by just even knowing and being reminded. So, in that instance, there was a little bit of healing. I was a little not so pleased by that, just having to be face to face, because he was pretty naughty. But I lived through it. I mean, it didn't kill me. And hopefully it didn't kill him. It didn't kill his spirit. Because I think everybody should have an opportunity to redeem themselves to themselves. So I want to address the self-hatred, because that's why people act the way they do. I'm not going to cover the higher echelons, like your dictators and all that, because that would just take forever, and I could go on and on and on. But there's always a root cause. And it's usually some sort of a trauma. It could be sexual, it could be physical abuse, extreme poverty. It by itself doesn't really bring these things, but the sense of lack, and not knowing whether the situation people are in early on in life can be overcome is enough to really turn people. And yet there's some other people that make really well use of their time, and they find their calling, and then they serve humanity in wonderful ways, and they started out in the same spot. So get to thinking about bullies that I have known personally, even in the family. I've been chase I had. I used to come home with bloody knees, and I used to control my mother. Like, I would start that. All I had to do was exist. So sometimes you attract that. And people, when they're not feeling that they're enough, they can't find a way to like and love themselves, they'll project that onto others. And I've had some experiences with that many times. And I had even up to recently people that I know that just, I don't know, were just lashed out and found any fault that picked through things that I've said, even on this podcast. I find it interesting that they even had an interest in this podcast. I can see that I will be flattered they were watching, but I'm not, because it was just more of a quick route to try to take apart something that somebody else is doing while trying to deny what they're feeling about themselves. And I use examples. I was criticized for using examples of other people, not myself. I just did. Because they're better examples to illustrate some of these points. And I know someone, actually through marriage in the family, who passed away under really bizarre circumstances, died young. And this person used to be a martial artist. And I figure people that find ways to express themselves physically, it's a good outlet for their energy. If they're frustrated, if they're not feeling good about themselves, these things can boost them tremendously. And many people, like I said, they rise from the bottom all the way to the top, the cream of the crop, per se. They excel in life. They overcome. They fight for what they want. They don't stay in the same spot. And this individual had everything going for him. He came from poverty, though. And still got some college, managed to, go into athletics a little bit, went into the military service for a little bit, and martial arts was a big thing for him. And at some point, there were some things that from his life that kind of crept into his practice, where he was actually dabbling into supplements, let's just say, performance enhancing supplements, and got really big and really angry, and he was looking for a way to channel all that energy. So this person would go into bars, public places, looking for a fight, instigating fights, so he could proceed to defeat the person he was he was trying to flush out and trying to start a fight with. So just going into a relatively peaceful environment to stir it up is another symptom of self-hatred. And they don't see it themselves. They look at the faults of everybody else. We all have them. I've counted a few here in this podcast. This podcast is not really necessarily about me. I don't think it would be that interesting, but I like to use some examples of that are more relevant to what I'm talking about to illustrate a point. Not necessarily because I experience any kind of bitterness or I'm hanging on to anything. In fact, just doing videos and a podcast to begin with is something I never would have done even a year ago. Never would have occurred to me that I would be doing this. And just sharing any of these experiences. And now you put them into writing, because that's how it is in life. We just have to be able to break out of the box of fear. Just go out and experience something new. And here I am. And so this podcast is not necessarily about me. I mean, I will bring up things that I've done or that have happened to me. Hopefully you may find them funny and go, that's kind of a screwed up situation, but how did I get out of it? And just trying to show through living my life how you can, maybe somewhere you can derive something, a learning point that can help you out. And that's all I'm really looking for. I'm grateful, by the way, that you're here, that you still come back each week. Makes me very happy. And the thing about looking for fights is when you've reached, not you, but a particular person has reached the point where they can't stand themselves so much, they just have to lash out at the first person they see, even across the room, even someone who's close to them, even someone who actually observed them very carefully and closely every day, and all they see is you, and they see themselves and others, and they don't like it, and then they lash out, and then they keep at it and at it. So the attack is not really in themselves, So other people, it's like looking into a mirror. It's the same thing. They see themselves in every person they see. A person who's achieving more than they are, they get upset. A person that seems to be going through hard times and just not really clicking just yet, but kind of chugging along, they see themselves in that person as well, and they come swinging. Nobody's provoking them in any way. They just simply come out swinging. They have to find an outlet for that anger at themselves. It's got to come out, and it's pretty sad, but it can be overcome. But the person has to really detach from that feeling of hatred and anger and sadness, and really take it out and look at it and address it. Just have to look at it, and this is what where sometimes therapy is a good thing, because therapy is very scary. I've done marriage therapy. I was a psych major, so I've talked to shrinks before on the job, and just for other people and for myself, just needing someone to talk to. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just realizing sometimes you have to suffer through some indignities in life, and in order to figure out that the like I was talking about lanes last week, get out of that lane, that bad lane. Just open up your mind and get out of that lane. It's taking you someplace where it's really not a good place for you. It's not where you want to go. But it's scary to change lanes. And getting away from being angry is also a scary thing, because when you're living anger all the time, it's the only comfort you get. It's an energy that's powerful. And when you can't kill yourself, you want to kill others. You want to spread that wealth of negativity to others. And that doesn't make you a great person. It doesn't make you anything. It just keeps you stuck. I keep saying you, not you. I wouldn't expect you that. But if you've gone through some of this, if you recognize it, there's a way out. I mean, I understand that therapy is not always available, or it may not be. You may not think it's affordable, but there are some outlets available where you can talk to someone. You really can. It doesn't have to be the person you're hating on right now, because you really hate yourself and you're just like, why are you like this? Why can't I get out of hating me? And like that young boy on the street selling dolls, there's no crime in that, but it's just a perception that for him, I suppose, I'm not in his mind, but poverty was a bad thing. Poverty is a bad state to be in. But it's a state that, with the right mental tools and attitudes, we can get out of it. It's completely doable to get out of that situation. It just takes a lot of self-discipline. But there's one thing that I wanted to talk about, and that I've been kind of wanting to introduce it for a while, and I talked about it before a few months ago. It was self-image. And next week, I think September is going to be season 2. I want to shift gears with this podcast and address some of these points about study metaphysics and self-improvement more in depth, and just using some storytelling. I try to be somewhat entertaining, but I want to also feel that I'm being of service to others. And that's the only reason I'm here. Otherwise, like I said, I'm comfortable now. I'm in front of a camera. I'm okay with it. I don't relish it, but I do it. I come out of my comfort zone. Having a podcast and having 2 channels and YouTube, and I have enjoyed the journey, and I hope that you have enjoyed some of that with me. And just being openly talking about every problem or every time I screwed up in life, that's no fun. But that at some point is going to come out. I have a book coming out, hopefully at the end of the year, and that has to be postponed a little bit for some reasons. I'm kind of picky about the editing, and there's some things that I want to rearrange, and I have an ebook coming out, and soon I have to postpone that as well, because I created some circumstances for myself where that got pushed back. So it's all on me. I want to be able to share that these books with you at some point soon, and I will definitely be a little bit more specific about a life journey, and how overcoming just total stupidity and just being myself would not serving me right. That's basically the lesson. You can get just that much where you can improve every day and get away from being the you that doesn't serve you or makes you happy or joyful. Then I've done my job. I've done at least some service to humanity. So that's coming. So it's going to be a short season, or maybe I'll go through January and then I'll do a year. So this is 7 months. It'll be 7 months or 8 months. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But I think season one, that period that I wanted to cover of day one of detaching from everything I thought was safety and security to, yes, I'm going on this journey along with you if you are going on a journey, alone. I had to finally just let it happen. And I wanted to go along for this ride to see where it takes me. And yes, I found out that I could sink way lower, really low. And I find myself saying, really? You're really going to go there? And I've allowed some things to happen to me that are unpleasant because I welcome the challenge. I want to see if I can get myself out of a big hole. And I don't recommend that for anybody, but I guess I'm kind of a thrill seeker in a way. And this thing about bullies was more about no matter how hard we try to get away from ourselves, I know someone who's very wise said once that it was a self-improvement guru. He's passed on. He passed on many years ago, and he said it so succinctly: you cannot outpace or outperform your self-image. And I want to touch a little bit tonight, and then next week I'll start a new season, and how we can work about creating a new you, a new me, which is mine is still in progress. I've changed my mind on and off in the past few months, and see which way I don't want to settle. I want to see where I can grow the most and where I can be the happiest. So this is an ongoing process, but everything in life has to be changed. It can't just be like one attitude, or you don't change A, B, and C. Everything has to change across the board. So it's a big overhaul project, and I hope you come along on this journey. So the self-image is what we see, how we see ourselves. So if the bully sees himself or herself as well in others, he doesn't see the goodness in others, he just sees their faults. But those are faults that are projected from themselves to other people. They only pick the things in between. Yes, you may be nice, but I see that you do the X, Y, and Z. Well, we all have our faults. It's a lack of focus and the positive that defines the bully. It separates the bully from everybody else. The bully never gets over the idea that they're bullying. I mean, they enjoy. I know they has to be enjoyable. They're either enjoying it or they're just hating themselves even more so. But they can't get out. Can't get out of that cycle. And honestly, there's very little that outsiders can do. And I realize I just said that I'd like to be able to address the bullying, the bullying factor. And I've been at the receiving end of bullying, even as an adult. And it still happens. People still snap at me, and I just have to calmly smile and say, in the olden days, this would not, I may not be smiling at all. That's a big thing to overcome, is being able to not let people like in such a state of mind, mental state, that to perturb you. Just like the lion says, like flies get on big crazy animals like rhinos, and they're just picking off their back, bugs off their back or something. These birds, they're totally fearless. They're just sitting on the back of a creature that's nothing but violence. Very, very hostile, very violent creature. A lion sits there and just swats flies. Flies are so small. You know how annoying a fly is? Yes, you do, don't you? I can't stand them. And I just hear them. I exaggerate a little bit. I halfway across the room, not a mile away, but I can hear them buzzing, and I'm looking for where that fly is. And if you're not allowing yourself to be disturbed in any way, but the smallest thing, the fly is an example, because everybody's bothered by flies. But someone who keeps picking at you, or like your little dogs or ankle biters, they keep at you. They're trying to draw something out of you so they can infuse themselves with your energy. are we going to give away that energy? We need it for our own personal growth. And I'm not willing to part with my energy like that anymore. It takes too much energy to get angry. And lash back at someone who comes at me for no reason or doesn't like me in the workplace. I don't have that problem. In the old job, yes. People come out of just out of nowhere, just too much competition in their minds. It's the fear that this person's going to take my money or my promotion, and I don't care about that. I'm not lacking in desire to achieve, but the achievements are for me. And to have someone just come out swinging, like this happened to me recently, I was shocked, but not shocked. It just actually confirmed that some individuals I know in my life really need to have. Not even anger management wouldn't cover this. This is something that deep therapy can only help them overcome. Stop using other people as a mirror into your own soul, and start mastering yourselves and myself. So, and I've done it. I've reflected my own anger at somebody else and caught myself in that whole spewing of, why things not working out for me, and I'm catching myself. I did this before, and it's embarrassing because when I look at it, I just telegraphed all my faults. I just telegraphed all the reasons why am I not getting that promotion, and all the reasons why you're not liking me. I'm just giving the other person plenty of reasons to reject, and not seeing it or catching it as we're doing it live, or maybe an hour later realizing, I really should have just scaled that back to, okay, I don't like the situation, let's talk about it. I understand we get frustrated when we want action, we want results, and things are not moving at the other end because it's another person and they have their own free will. We just have to learn to be more persuasive and respectful, that we cannot make someone we cannot will them to do anything. We really can't. We can encourage them. We can give them, great kudos and say nice things, and these people would just spit at you. And I know this for a fact, that I lived in a state of self-hatred. I've experienced it. I've done it, and it's pretty ugly. And once you say, I think I'm just tired of hating myself, and that time did come, and I don't let anyone disturb me to the point where I accept that my faults. I accept that I'm flawed, and I accept that I'm a work in progress always. That's the whole point. It's to master ourselves, the mastery of the self. And for the second season, and I'll start so I got one more week in August, and I can start fresh in September. I have some new stuff coming up, and the bully thing, yeah, especially the people who are long gone and they live fast, but fast and angry, and they found things. It's another thing, when we found an outlet, because sometimes we say we just need a hobby or need to do something, and I don't want to get too off the beaten path on this topic tonight. Just think about it, because when we look for an outlet, it should be healthy, and healthy meaning that it has to bring you some sort of happiness or a sense of calm. And when the mind is calm, then we can really think. We're really thinking, and we're really analyzing what we're doing. And I have a fast thinking mind, and always, and my mouth runs even faster. It is something that I definitely know. And I've had to correct myself, like, how about you just zip it and just listen, and because I have so many ideas, and they all have to come out, and there's no sense of urgency. I mean, the ideas will come. The opinion that I want to voice, it can still come. If I forget it, then it wasn't that important. I can write a note and come back to you later. I can do many things to self-correct, and looking for an outlet has to be healthy. It has to bring some positivity. And I hope that whatever it is that we're doing, it's going to be okay. It's going to take work. It's going to take some discipline. And creating discipline is the hardest thing. And once we create some patterns of discipline, we can do like 2 weeks and 3 weeks. You start doing some things that you force yourself to do. People who are successful do the things the rest of us don't want to do, and that's the only secret. There's no law of attraction, none of the stuff. You just do the things that you don't want to do. If you do too much of something that hurts you, you cut back and you cut back until it's gone. That behavior has to go. It has to go. So, in the case of the one person who was a martial artist, who God rest his soul, he should have lived a long, healthy life, but went through a period where whatever was hurting him was really driving him into just trying to enhance himself and pumping action. I mean, he just got really huge. Martial artists usually are not that big, but this person lifted weights, and and these drugs, they will make you very fast. That's why athletes get banned for these, from taking them when they get caught on a drug test. They're very bad for you. These things they're just gonna eat up your mind. They're gonna chew away at your health, physical health, and then it's gonna affect mental health. And if you already come into that equation with a bad self-image, and then you're injecting or taking pills, and then just hitting the dojo, and you're hammering away at your forms. I don't know if any of you have done martial arts. I did for a little while. And you have to have a clear mind, because martial arts is not about, like in the movies, somebody who's getting bullied, and I never went to anyone and say, so, can you help me fight my bullies? I had to do that on my own. That's why I had skinned knees. That's how it is. You guys stand up for yourself. But I never went to a gym, and I was a little kid. I was a little girl. In my time, we didn't do that. Nowadays you have women in sports that used to be strictly men's sports, and these are good outlets for the body. And I mean, there's that mind and body connection to exercise, but when it comes to the point of you're doing it, and you're still in the same state of mind mentally, you're still stressed, mentally still hate yourself, and you think that more of the exercise of that activity, it could be underwater basket weaving. I don't think that would make anyone violent. I think it would bore me within 5 minutes. I would want more, but exercise and other activities have to bring about a sense of wellness, and it has to be across the board. Like I said, you can't just change one thing. You can change the body; it looks good, but if you're not sleeping well or eating well, and not changing the attitude, that means your mindset, that image of yourself as being negative is still there. So it doesn't matter what you're doing to the body; it is never going to allow you to connect in a way with the interior and the exterior are the same. This is the person you want to be. This is the person you're aspiring, you're working to be. And this person has to be good. It has to be the very best that you can be. You only get one chance. You should always live life as though, you only get one chance. Everything you do, you only get one try. And this is one of those times. There has to be self-reflection, not just lashing out. And I've done it. I've been guilty, and I've lashed out at work. And then I wanted to apologize, but it was so intense that the damage was done. So I've seen myself slip away and just letting it go, and I ruin an image or even an opportunity to patch up things with somebody because I rushed into the full-blown energy, like the She-Hulk thing, just smash. And not everything is a threat in life. So, I came from a security background and law enforcement, so for a long time my mind was kind of tuned to that. Everything, even a personal slight, I would consider that to be a threat of some sort. Personal relationships were affected. I did not vet my partners very well. I can't blame 100%. Yeah, you don't have to be with someone that's not good for you. If you don't vet them properly, then you're stuck with someone who's really bad. It's on you. It's on me. So I had a podcast before about accountability. And I don't want to make the podcast all about me, but I have to say that I'm just as flawed and sometimes just as irritated at myself and the things that I do and how I do them, and just catch myself like, really? We went back again to that, regress to that practice? What have we learned here? And there's a lot of internal dialogue going on. So for me, my outlets are pleasurable. When I come out of the pool, like I know if you've been following me for a while, I discovered swimming. It's been like 2 years, maybe 3. I can't believe it was yesterday. I was just hanging onto a pool noodle, you know. I know how to float on my back. Oh my goodness, 20 years in the Navy, I never really learned to truly jump in the water and just enjoy swimming. How did I live without swimming? And in the water, anything is possible. And it's 800 times, it gives you 800 times more resistance than air. And yet, I'm just gliding. It is like I left the physical world. I'm someplace that's completely ethereal. It is just really an amazing experience to swim. And I'm glad that I give myself the opportunity to jump through the hurdles and actually give myself encouragement. And then the one time that it clicked, mind and body were working together. And from then on, I never looked back. There was never a fear to get in the water, even when I go through long periods when I haven't been able to get to the pool. Like recently, after I did the 15-mile challenge last month, and I'm missing it, and I haven't been able to be in the water, and I miss it. But I try to keep calm about that for now until I get back in the pool. Been very busy, very tired. New work endeavor keeps me kind of like going to the gym every day without a break, so I'm pretty exhausted most of the time, but I will get back to that one point where I'm actually doing more in the pool. And it's one of those things, like I found myself like disconnecting from being a sane and calm-minded person again to not being in the pool and actually not engaging in some sort of physical activity. So I like the fact that right now my body is moving all the time. It's not in the water, but it's moving all the time, and I feel a sense of wellness. I'm tired, but you know, muscles eventually they do fall in line, and they do recover if you allow them to recover, and they grow. And this whole life is about growth. So I'm always grateful and hopeful that everything that I do every day, that I improve even just 1%. I'm not saying that I'm aiming low, but if you've been following, I'm definitely seeing through this journey, and not just podcast, because I don't vlog, because vlogging is every minute of my life. It's not going to happen. It's just giving you highlights, and maybe some storytelling will be halfway entertaining, and you can derive some benefit and some well-being, a sense of well-being. Just to listen for 30 or 40 minutes on Monday nights, and I'm like I said, I'm grateful for you, and I am working on improving myself and doing show and tell. If I'm doing it, and my mindset has been pretty stuck for a long time, and it's pretty strong. The conditioning, everything that we go through, when we're so used to being ourselves, it's been working for me for 20, 30 years. It doesn't work. That when we say that we're scared to grow. When we stop saying that, we're growing. At least we open the door to growth. And I just want to encourage you, and maybe encourage somebody else in your life, to find positive outlets to engage body and mind to bring a sense of wellness. But there has to be change. There has to be change in the mind in order for the body to follow. And the body's doing whatever it wants. It needs training. The mind really has to rein it in, but they have to talk to each other. And this is something that will go beyond just anger management and just trying to say why you're angry all the time. The self-image is corrupt, just like a programming. It's not working. It's not the right programming. You may be pushing yourself to do some things in the physical aspect of life, but the mental side of it is still in that ugly place. Whatever broke that person, or changed it in a negative way, and then they got so used to it that they feel they can never get out of that state of mind. That's what really needs to be targeted. And I'm doing a lot of thinking. I'm going through quick changes this week. Next week I want to tackle the self-image. And I got some case studies that not necessarily people I know. These are actually from written books, because I don't want to draw the ire of anybody who thinks that I'm actually speaking of them, ill will, saying bad things about the dead or anything. Everybody makes mistakes. I'm just saying that we all get one chance at it. And if the more people listen to this and maybe they kind of think a little bit, if you drive anything at all, and I keep saying over and over that is the purpose, and the purpose across the board is to always aim to master ourselves, to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. And I really think that's the purpose of life. It's not your passions, it's not the goals we set to make the money. All that stuff will come. It will come to you. You will attract it. But the change has to occur in the mind first, before the body can start moving towards that goal. But mastery of the self is difficult and it's scary because it's comfortable. Allowing yourself to stay where we are and just kind of homestead there, and it feels, it's familiar, but familiarity breeds complacency. And when you hit the point of complacency, it's hard to get out of it because you're not doing the right things, but unless you get some drastic stuff like it's happened to me a few times in the past year, get let go from a job, and I was happy about it, and then transitioned to something else. I took some time off, and I didn't badger myself about it. I was happy. I hated what I was doing. I hated the job. So there was a way out. I didn't want to be there anymore. I said it before. I wanted to bail out last year, and I didn't do it. So when you have the opportunity, you need to take that opening. That door opens. Just do the scary thing every day. So I failed to do the scary thing, so the scary thing came to me in the next cycle of the universe, and there I was. I handled myself the best I could. I didn't panic and I didn't get upset at me, but I had to figure out what's the master plan, and made some miscalculations. I was talking about calculating the mathematical aspect of the universe. Just make one little mistake and it just unravels all kinds of hell. It happens. You just have to practice forgiveness. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it before. It's hard to forgive ourselves because we're the closest one we can blame, but most likely we're going to end up blaming somebody else, the closest person that's not you. Just like looking in the mirror. If you're yelling at somebody else, you're yelling at yourself. So look for a mirror. I talked about mirror work. Look in the mirror and be kind, be compassionate, but tell you that part of yourself that change needs to happen. It needs to happen now. So if you're dealing with anger and frustration and just having a group therapy is not going to do it for you. One-on-one, I strongly recommend one-on-one. And I'm not a therapist, but I know that talking out what it is that's holding you back is going to help you reassess how valuable and how amazing and unique you are, and how you're here because you have a purpose. You're not here just randomly. So with that said, I'm excited for September. It's going to be a big change. Huge. I don't know how huge, but I'm aiming for a big change. And I hope you come along with me on this journey. I'm going to do some scary things pretty soon. So it's just part of the game of self-mastery. I hope you like my background. This is Glacier Bay in Alaska. I thought I could use a change of pace, and same thing for you. So I bid you good night. I hope you have a fantastic work week. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you stopping by and listening to me on Monday nights. This is In the Pursuit of Joy. I'm joyful to have you here. Have a joyful week. Bye.